we have got a question from the world's greatest aunt who's having money and investing conversations with her 9-year-old nephew. And she's asking us, how do I set up a custodial brokerage account for my nephew to keep them interested in their personal finance for life, for long term? Incredible question. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can hear more like this, more great advice from us and more great questions from our callers. Make sure you hit the reminder button so you find out when more of these videos are coming, and like the video so everybody else gets to hear about it too. Hey, let's listen in.
Today we're going to throw out the lifeline to Christine. It's about time. Christine, how are you?
Hey, Joe and OG. This is Christine from Seattle. I'm calling because I've been talking recently with my 9-year-old nephew about personal finance. He's gotten really into saving money and how to make money. And as part of that conversation, we started talking about investment accounts. And he really wants me to open him a custodial brokerage account. His parents don't really have any interest in this process, so I would mainly be responsible for it. Initially, he wanted me to invest in Tesla for him. However, after more discussion, he decided that an S&P 500 index fund is a better fit for him. Needless to say, I'm very proud of this discussion we're having, and I'm very happy to open him a custodial brokerage account to continue his learning. However, I'm wondering if you have any advice on things I should keep in mind when I open a custodial brokerage account, both generally as well as being an aunt and not a parental guardian of my nephew. If you have any advice as well on how I can keep my nephew continuously inspired and not have this be sort of a passing fancy, I would very much appreciate your advice. Thank you very much, and I look forward to my t-shirt. I would give it to Doug, but I'm pretty sure a woman's extra small would not fit him. Looking forward to your response.
Yeah,
I would look
Christine,
so good in that shirt.
Doug already wears other extra small women's shirts, and it's not good. It is not good. Christine talking to her 9-year-old nephew. That's pretty badass. That is awesome. Yeah, I love this topic. Clearly, OG, your advice is going to be teach him option spreads, first obviously. Thing.
Calls and puts, get him on Reddit, Wall Street bets. Sooner the better.
If you could short AMC.
Yes.
I was going to say, just keep putting your own capital into his account. He'll get pretty excited.
Yeah.
So where does she go with this, OG? How does she create maybe a curriculum around this?
I don't know that there's anything really to be concerned with or thinking about in terms of being the aunt on an account versus a mom or a dad. The best way to do this, I think, has got to be through a regular like UGMA or UTMA account, and knowing that money becomes and is the kid's money at age 18. That's basically the moral of that, of that story. It's his money or her money. It's going to be very difficult to impress upon them the importance of time, because a 9-year-old, much like a 19-year-old, much like a 39-year-old, thinks that there's all the time in the world still to go. And while that's true, the hard part is seeing kind of that, the length of the value of that compounding and stuff over time. So you have to kind of bring it back into the short term. What's worked really well for us in our family is contrasting the difference between what the savings account is paying versus the brokerage account. And you don't even have to look at return on investment, because there's going to be years when the market goes down. There's going to be periods of time where, I had $1,000 and now I got $900. This isn't what I thought it would be, type of thing. But just looking at just dividend payout versus the interest rate earned is profoundly different. You say, well, you've got $200 in your savings account with the credit union, and they gave you 2.5 cents this quarter. Your $200 in your brokerage account earned you $4 this year. It's an order of magnitude higher in terms of the income produced from a stock portfolio versus money in the bank. And I think that's the biggest way to compare and contrast, to kind of keep their eye on the prize. using long-term things like, hey, if you put $6,000 a year in here for the next 20 years, you'll have $10 million when you're 55. I don't think a 9-year-old cares about any of that stuff. And then the last piece I would say is it can't always be about like 25, 50 years from now, right? Like, I think it's important to also have some short and medium term timeframes also as you're talking about money, as you're talking about goals and that sort of thing, especially for younger people. And that's just not 9-year-olds also. That's, 29-year-olds too. It's hard for us to think about 40 years from now as being a really big benefit when there's a really nice car I want to buy now.
I will say this. I totally agree that there's got to be some living today and teaching people just all delay versus I can have it today and tomorrow if I balance.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I do know, talking to a few people that have worked extensively with kids and with teenagers, the thing that excites them is not topics about don't get into debt or have a budget or those, whatever. Those are fine. The rule of 72 OG and the doubling of your money and hey, if we keep putting more money in this and looking at that doubling and doubling again, and showing them how $1,000 today ends up being a huge amount of money by the time I'm 60, builds in that delayed gratification. The kid wants to delay it, but the kid also then starts to get excited about, I'm doing these things today that are going to make me wealthy later on. Like, kids get that.
Yep.
Do you like the index fund versus the individual stock? Tesla, S&P 500 versus Tesla?
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, I can make a case. I can make a case either way there. If the kid invests in Tesla, it'll be much more real that when I invest in the S&P 500, this is a collection of these companies. There's a piece of me that kind of likes starting there because you've been in an individual stock. You've seen it go up, you've seen it go down, and now you can see what the S&P 500 really does. I think you get it even more.
It's the contrasting thing, like the interest and dividend stuff. That's how we started with our kids. We used a company that we don't really like anymore called Stockpile, and they invested in the brands that they recognized and did business with, Xboxes and McDonald's and Hasbro and all of these companies that the Hershey's, these companies that they interact with all the time. So it was easy for them to see, like, hey, I'm eating a Hershey bar. I own part of this company. Or mom and dad just got something in the mail from Amazon. I own a little teeny tiny bit of that company. And to your point, once you kind of understand how that, the conceptualness of I own a really small part of this organization, then you can have the discussion of, well, do you think it's better to try to pick and choose the winners? Or do you think it's better to own all of the companies that are the biggest companies in America? And we can do that all in one line item, as opposed to having 500 on your statement. So that's a good observation. I like that.
Thanks for the question, Christine. If you've got a question for us, stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail. And then we will send you, like we're sending Christine, a code where she can just go in and order herself whatever size shirt she wants, and one preferably that doesn't fit Doug. So stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail gets you there.
Great question from Christine about setting up a custodial brokerage account for her nephew, her 9-year-old nephew. What an amazing aunt. And I loved OG's comments back to Christine about some important things to think about. Of course, teaching them about the value of compounding, teaching a young person about how much more they can earn, just letting that money ride. I also love some of the comments about setting up intermediate goals, because you can't always think about 50 years away and 75 years away. To a 9-year-old, that might as well be 1,000 years. So love the comments and the advice that OG and Joe provided there. Thanks for tuning in. If you like more information like this, be sure to tune into the Stacking Benjamins podcast. We're having deep conversations with incredible guests and great call-in questions like this one. So subscribe to the Stacking Benjamins podcast. Subscribe to this video channel. Make sure you like this video so more people get to see this great information. And hit that reminder bell so that you find out when more great videos are coming your way. Thanks, everybody. Till next time.